There are 3 objectives with this workout. Number 1, help Brian's knee pain. I wanted to help Brian not just work around it and avoid the issue, but to help him find strategies he can use long term to help strengthen it and improve the resilience to his knees. Number 2, work out as quickly as possible. Brian literally just got off a flight from the US and came to see me and was due to get on stage later that night. We needed an effective workout that cut out all the unnecessary fluff and to be completely done from warm up to finish, all within less than an hour. Number 3, have a great workout. At the end of the day, we both love training hard and getting good workout in. For Brian, it's a bit hit and miss with his knees, but I was determined to find solutions he can train hard and not need to unnecessarily regress his intensity overall. So here's what we did.
Do you mind if I critique your form?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. When you do a Romanian, there's not much hinge back. I want your ass going back more.
Okay.
The first thing I noticed immediately was Brian's hinge, or lack thereof. Instead of pushing his hips back to load the glutes and stretch his hamstrings, most of the movement was coming from his back. The big giveaway, apart from the rounding to his back, was where his overall weight was shifting and the position of his shoulders.
So on this set, what I'd recommend is think butt back, but I'm also going to use a stick and put it in front of your shoulders. And I want you to try to keep, so when you bend forwards, try to keep your shoulders behind the stick, and I'll guide you backwards.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so try not to touch that. That's it, good. Yeah, you might not get as low, but you're gonna be translating more horizontally.
Yeah.
And it probably feels
loading up more, yeah.
Yeah. Minor change, but I'm like, oh, I know you can get more strength and build more power out of your glutes.
I'm loading my hamstrings, not my glutes at all.
Yeah.
Which I do feel like is a big problem with my knees. I feel like it's because I don't activate my glutes properly.
One thing you might have also noticed is this. Brian was doing some glute kickbacks after the first set. A lot of people do this type of thing to try to activate their glutes or prime their body for their workout.
I'll do like some glute band and stuff.
Okay.
I just feel like the more I fire up my glutes, then I help alleviate the pressure on the knees.
Yeah.
This is super common, and it absolutely does help some people, and there's nothing wrong with doing it. But there's 2 reasons why I don't do it that much. First are the obvious issues, time and adherence. It might not seem like much, but I've seen a lot of these sorts of warm-ups turn into a never-ending list of warm-up drills, mobility flows, and activations that you must do before you can even start training, which adds on a lot of time that I would argue for a lot of people is completely unnecessary. There's a very specific context where these things might have some benefit in very early stages of rehab, but I see this sort of thing getting overdone a lot when it's not needed. Your glutes don't turn off. If any muscle in your body wasn't turned on when required, I'd be seriously concerned. But what does happen is we often tend to favor different positions and movements out of preference or efficiency that may not be the most effective for working the muscles in our body. Take Brian's hinge for example. It's pretty obvious why the glutes and even hamstrings aren't working as much as they could be. It's not because of a lack of glute activations or a specific warm-up drill, but more the position he's putting his body into during the actual exercise. Doing glute activations might help you subconsciously change your technique slightly or give you just some gigantic pump, so you have to feel some sensation there, but it's not a guarantee. Now, I can't tell you what to do as I don't know your situation, but a lot of the time addressing the setup or the technique of your exercises is usually far more beneficial and effective than adding in extra mobility or activation work. So we worked up to 2 hard sets here of around 6 to 8 reps, leaving about 2 reps in the tank.
You got one more, come on, let's do it. Hips back, shoulders back, that's it. Up, nice. Good set.
But the main drawback of a Romanian deadlift is it's hard to really push yourself to your limits to stimulate gains, especially when you get more advanced like Brian. Training to failure is still a little bit of an open discussion, with many research papers supporting both training to failure and training away from failure. One thing that the research in the area of training does seem to indicate is that if you train to failure versus not train to failure, you don't need to do as many sets, which makes a lot of sense. Now, if you didn't train to failure, we'd probably need to do maybe 3 or 4 total sets to give us the same response. So we just did 1 set here and called it a day for hamstrings, along with those 2 non-failure sets on the RDLs.
Push back. Yes. Control it. You got him. You got him. Here we go. Hips back. Get the full stretch. Get the full stretch up there. That's it. Yes. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Stretch it. Down. Yes.
Damn, I pushed my butt back more. I felt it more. So I was like, oh, I'm more fried, but I want to do it again now.
Yeah.
Next up was split squats. Now surprisingly, Brian finds regular squats and machine variations like hack squats to be more problematic on his knees than a split squat, which worked out pretty well because split squats are my preferred motion to work with when dealing with knee pain. Take a look at how Brian naturally rotates his body slightly, partly due to his size and comfort to grab onto the bar, but also to position his hips into a more comfortable position. That sort of thing is pretty much impossible to do if we were doing a double leg squat motion, which is one of the unique benefits to split squats.
But what I would try to think about is come back on it again. I'll put that in the center of your foot. And really try to push, not through your heel or your toe, but right in that middle section where that foot is, like where that plate is. So drive it straight down into the ground.
It does feel a little easier.
Yeah.
On my on the actual knee, yeah, for sure.
Now, one thing you might not have noticed with Brian was that he was biasing a lot more pressure through his heels than the rest of his foot. His toes would lift off slightly when he was pressing. This is super common, so we use the plate as a quick mental trick to get him to push more through the center of his foot, which helps to provide more power, stability, and it allows for a more natural degree of both pronation and internal rotation to occur at the femur when squatting.
Let's try that again. How's that?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah, cool.
And I can feel more quad activation as opposed to
nice.
knee pain.
The same, do it right through the middle.
Yeah, that set felt better than the previous set.
We just did 2 sets here and that was it. If you've set yourself up well and are pushing yourself hard with enough intensity, you really shouldn't need much more than that on most exercises. Next up was leg extensions. We're doing this with a laid back angle to help to improve the strength of the rectus femoris, which should help to provide stability to the knee as a whole, but also allows to generate a lot more tension for growth.
Good range, and again, get it up there, right pause, good.
One more.
And again, get it up.
Woo! That right rectus, I was like, oh my goodness.
And between sets here, we also did some stretching for the hamstrings. This is absolutely not essential, but if you have flexibility goals, stretching definitely works. But it can be hard to find the time to squeeze it in as a separate session or at the start or end of your workouts. This is why I love to use it as active rest periods. Research seems to indicate that you only need to accumulate around 5 total minutes per week to improve flexibility. So if we did sets of around 30 to 60 seconds, that'd only be about 5 to 10 sets you need to do across an entire week to create noticeable improvements. We did something a little bit different here though. Instead of doing passive stretching, like just trying to hang out and touch your toes, we did some active stretch work, which to be honest, I've got no idea if it's more or less beneficial, it's just different. And it's something I would use alongside other forms of stretching as part of a multi-pronged approach to improving flexibility. So we were technically finished with the entire workout here in about 40 minutes. You could leave the workout there and be done. But instead of feeling knee pain, Brian was feeling like testing out a few movements that would notoriously hurt his knees a lot, which if we look back to the initial objectives of this workout is a pretty good sign that things went really well. And that was it. Hope you enjoyed this video and took away something useful. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.
You know, I just never done too, but I wouldn't mind. You wouldn't even have to like kill it or whatever, but I wouldn't mind doing a set of both of these.
Yeah, sure.
Even just light, just to see how it feels.
Nice. I'll say the best thing for you is thinking about that same foot pressure, like that middle of the foot.
Oh, yeah.
Like no matter where you put your feet, the placement looks honestly spot on. Like you might be able to go a tiny bit lower. Solid?
Yeah, that's working a little better, for sure. This is actually the best it's ever felt.
Yeah.
Especially how, for lack of a better term, comfortable it feels at the very bottom. Like it's really surprising. Like it's not, like when I'm hanging off the bottom, it doesn't feel bad at all.